Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. This is a meeting of Frome Town Council. I'm Peter Wheelhouse, I'm the Town Clerk, and I'll be chairing this evening's meeting until a chair is elected. Just to remind everyone, we've got people online and here in the room. For those in the room, a little housekeeping. Emergency exit is in the rear corner of the council chamber, and the assembly point is the far side of the car park. Toilets are at the end of the corridor on the right, and there's an accessible toilet to the right of the lift. Please help yourselves to a cup of tea if you haven't already done so. Tonight I will clerk the meeting. Laura, Sarah and Rachel, I believe, and Becca will manage the minutes, questions board, participant settings and the IT generally. The meeting will be recorded and made available on our YouTube channel. For those councillors attending via Zoom, please use the yellow hand, and for everyone else, ask questions through the Q&A board. So first on the agenda is to waive standing orders to enable a councillor other than the chair or deputy chair to chair this meeting. Do I have a proposer? Andy Jones, seconded Anne Hills, and can I have the showing for the vote, please? And that's unanimous. So we've now waived standing orders. The next step is to elect a chair for this meeting. Do we have a nomination, please? Nick Dove? Do we have a seconder? Andy Ritmore. And just check the vote. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's unanimous. So, Sarah, would you like to take the chair, please?
Thank you. Fancy new microphones. Okay, our first item is apologies for absence, and we have had those from Richard Pinnock, Anita Collier, Philip Campagna, Tracy Ashford. Is that all we've had in?
Ben Still and also Fiona is online.
Ben Still and Fiona online. Hello, Fiona. And I also need to ask for any declarations of councillors' interests, dispensations. Oh, voting on apologies.
So
proposed by Anne Hills, seconded by Lindsay, voting to accept.
That's unanimous.
And now declarations of any councillors' interests in any item on the agenda or any dispensations regarding any item on the agenda. And we also need to vote on accepting the minutes of the last council meeting. So can I have somebody to propose that, please? Andy Jones, thank you. And seconded by Mark Dorrington. And everyone vote or don't.
That's unanimous again.
Brilliant, thank you. As always, our next point is questions and comments from the public and councillors. We'll start with the public. Any members of the public have any questions? No, smooth. And any councillors? Andy Jones and then Martin Dimmery.
It's a sort of question and a suggestion. So first question is, am I right in thinking that the various planters that were installed as part of Safer School Streets remain under the control and management of Frome Town Council?
I'm going to pass to Jane Llewellyn for that.
I believe they do at the moment. We are awaiting Somerset's comments on the safety audit.
Okay.
So the answer at the moment is, I believe so.
Yeah, so obviously at the moment they're looking kind of dead and kind of dry and kind of neglected. And I'm just wondering whether we could run some sort of little campaign to encourage people who live near them to take care of their own planter and plant it up with some bulbs ready for next spring and that sort of thing.
That's a very good suggestion, and I will take that one away. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you. Martin, I think you had your hand up for a question.
New microphones, brilliant. Yeah, just to add, Helen Kay, I think, sent her apologies, and Shane Collins is also away, so I'll send his. And I think you will all know by now that there's a vacancy in Frome West for a councillor. Mick Dunk sadly had to resign. You all know the circumstances for that. The election will be on September the 3rd. And the nominations have to be in tomorrow. We've had 1 week to get the nominations in. It's been mad. It's been ridiculous. But so that's what's happening. So you'll be seeing people on your doorstep. Do be nice to them.
Depends who they are. Thank you. Any other questions from councillors? Okay, moving swiftly on, and I believe Lenka is going to give us a quick run through about a proposal to support an anti-racism charter. We've heard a bit about this before, so I think this is just a recap for councillors who weren't at our last Community in Place meeting. Thank you, Lenka.
Yeah, hi everybody. Yes, so we are ARC, which is Frome Anti-Racist Communities Group, and we have some members here today. Is there Emily? So I would say there's sort of about 20 in the group, including children, families, which is obviously difficult to get here for evening meetings. The group was set up in 2020, and it's a campaigning and education group. And all local residents and the people within the group, all their families have been subjected to racism in our town. So over the years, we've been supporting individuals, and we've been working with schools where we can. We're all volunteers. So we also work in partnership with other groups across the county. So the SARIs, which is Stand Against Racism and Inequality, who are based in Bristol. And we did some training 3 weeks ago, put on some training sessions. The first session, and 6 councillors attended that training and 3 members of staff. We had representatives from the football club, rugby club, Asda, Lidl. So it's great because we had all these people that are really on board with this and are putting up these posters in their venues or on their websites. You know, Frome Independent, they had copies out on Sunday and it's on their website. So we're really like launching now and just spreading it out across the town. Just to give you, there is a rise, in case you're not aware, there is a rise in racism in our town. One of our members has had 3 incidents in 4 months, and she's lived here for 17 years. So that just gives you a little snippet of what's going on. So we really are saying thank you to Hannah for putting the paper together. We're working with Melody. We're putting on a school-specific training session on in the autumn, and 6 schools have already signed up to that. Obviously, we're working with Emily as well, and Emily joined our second session 3 weeks ago with members who actually shared all their experiences. So I think that was quite enlightening for Emily to be part of that as well. So we're here today to ask that you would adopt our charter, and you'll see copies on your table. This was put together by all the group, and so it links up to SARI. So it's about speaking out, reporting. SARI are very supportive. This is a joint kind of charter on here. The QR code goes straight to their reporting page, and they can support, and they can also put them in touch with us, the group here, that can support within Frome. So that's what you're asking, but open to any questions?
Yeah, Nick.
Hi, Lenka. Thanks for that. And the training was really good. I really enjoyed the training. It was really well done. So thanks for arranging that. The person you said who's had 4 incidents of racism towards them in the last period of time? Have they reported them to police?
3 incidents in 4 months. Yes, they've all been reported to police.
Fantastic. Okay, thanks very much.
Sometimes people want to report anonymously. They don't feel comfortable, but actually, yeah, and as long as they're supported, but
Great. And there's a third party reporting system if they're not happy to do it directly.
yeah.
Sure.
And what we do at ARC is we've reported for other people. And we've also supported people when there's been incidents in schools. We've written letters as a group to support them and to take those steps because it can be very isolating if you're on your own.
Yeah. Thanks, Lenka. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions for Lenka? Okay, so we have, oh, sorry, Fiona. Sorry, Fiona.
That's all right. I was just going to say thank you to Lenka and everyone at ARC for working on this and for putting this together. I think that we have a reputation as a town for being sort of welcoming, inclusive and community minded, which we absolutely are. And there's obviously lived experience of people living here who are, as you say, sort of dealing with racism on a regular basis. So I just think it's really important that we do this. And I guess what I'm also hoping is that this is sort of the start of well, it's not the start because we've already been sort of working together on this, but my next question is sort of what else can we do? And I think it would be really good if we could continue this conversation and see what else we can do after this as well. But yeah, if I was there, I'd be voting for it, but obviously not.
You will be in spirit. Thank you, Fiona. Before we go on to vote, are there any other observations or questions? Okay, can we have the recommendation up there? Yep. Okay, so the recommendation is to adopt and promote the Frome anti-racist charter for organisations and venues. Can I have someone to propose we accept that? Nick Dove, thanks. And seconder, Polly Lamb, thank you. And can everyone please vote? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. So we've now adopted your charter. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Lenka. Thanks for coming in again to talk to us about it, Lenka. Okay, agenda item 6, to decide on a budget setting process for 27-28. Over to Fiona.
Hi again. Can I just say that before I do this, I'm not feeling great tonight. I had my final chemo on Friday and feeling the side effects. So I'm going to stay here for as long as I can. But if I leave in the middle of someone's presentation or drop out halfway, please don't take offense to it. And I'm just not feeling great. So yes, just say that this paper basically sets out a proposed process and timetable for developing our 27-28 budget and work programme. I think we all know that setting our budget and work programme is the biggest decision that we make as a council. And I think that it's really important that we therefore make the process as open, transparent and inclusive as possible. However, we also do need to recognise that we're not starting from a blank sheet of paper this year. Our council plan does run for another year. So we need to ensure that our spending plans are aligned with the strategic priorities outlined in that. So just to sort of keep that in mind. So the proposed process is therefore sort of designed to balance these two things and is designed to ensure that councillors are involved early, that the community has meaningful opportunity to engage with the process, and that committees have time to contribute to the proposals before the final budget comes back to council for approval in January. I think there's a slide that has it outlined with all the dates and everything. So that's the process. So are there any questions?
Don't seem to be any questions right now, Fiona.
Great.
So I can't see over there. So agenda item 6 recommendations are to approve the proposed budget setting process and timetable for the preparation of the 27-28 budget and work programme. No opportunities for council committee and community input through the process. Delegate authority to Peter the Town Clerk in consultation with the relevant councillors, chairs and lead councillors to make any minor amendments to the timetable to facilitate this. Can somebody propose that for me? Andy Jones, thank you. And seconded by Steve Tanner. And everyone to vote.
That's unanimous.
That was speedy. Thank you. Thanks, Fiona.
Sarah, Can I ask a question of Fiona? Fiona, can you see the slide as an online attendee?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item 7, decide on a process for developing a medium-term financial plan. And I think we're going over to Miss Finance herself.
Ha, ha,
And
ha,
Hills.
ha, ha. I'm not going to take up a great deal of your time.
Music to my
But-
ears.
But I've got the mic. I'm sure you've all read our paper. And you may or may not have questions, but some of those questions I might preempt in what I'm about to say. So what the plan is, what the paper is a plan for our plan. It's our plan for creating our medium-term financial plan. So when we had our peer review, one of the recommendations from that was that we would have a medium-term financial plan. I am a chartered financial planner. However, I am a personal financial planner. So I'm a fellow of the Personal Financial Society. So I have ideas about money, but I am not an expert in local government or councils. And if we were to try and work this out ourselves, we may well come up with a brilliant plan. But if it doesn't work, if something goes wrong, we have absolutely no redress. We've got no one to go to say, it's all gone horribly wrong. Can we have our money back? Because we did it ourselves. So what we are doing, if we ask a consultant to help us with this, we are getting not only knowledge and understanding, but also tools that will enable us to do it ourselves next year, or the following administration, whoever happens to be in that following administration. And that's something else I wanted to say as well. In no way are we tying the hands of the next administration. We are not setting a budget for the next administration. What we are doing is building tools that will enable the next administration to make better financial decisions. If that happens to be us, all well and good. If it's not us, it will enable whoever is in our place after May next year. Okay, so this is our plan for our plan. We could use, and we have been using AI to help us, but the way we've been using AI so far is for AI to suggest what the best questions to ask of the experts. And everyone is saying at the moment that is probably the best way to use AI. If we use AI to give us the answer, we need to know a great deal to check that answer to make sure it's correct. But if we ask AI to ask us what would be good questions to ask of an expert, it comes up with really good questions. So we've been using AI to come up with the brief that we're going to ask of our chosen consultant. We've also asked AI, who would be a good consultant to ask? So we've asked, we're unusual, we're a town council, but we're acting at a £4 million budget. So we're almost like a small local authority. So we sort of bridge two camps. We don't want someone who's going to tell us what a local authority would do, you know, like a Somerset Council or the old Mendip District Council, because we don't have those powers. But we also don't want them to give us the sort of advice they'd give to a small parish council, even though that's the sort of council we are. So we need someone who's got experience working with large councils, but knows how to talk to a town or parish council. So those are the sort of people we're going to send our pitch to, send our brief to, and ask them to assist us. So what we want from that consultant is not a medium-term financial plan. We want learnings for how we can go about developing a medium-term financial plan so we can be self-sufficient in the future. So we're not buying a medium-term financial plan, we're buying expertise and learnings. We've all Sarah, Andy, me and Peter, we've all learnt a lot so far in coming up with the brief. And coming up with the questions we want this to answer. But now we want to go to the next step and do a lot of the work, do as much as we can, but almost like get a second opinion from an external consultant to say, this is what we think we want to do. Can you help us fill in the gaps? And can you tell us how you've worked out that information so we can do it ourselves next year? That's it. Okay. You've read the paper. Do you agree? Any
Thanks
questions?
very much. Yes, any questions for Anne? It was all crystal clear.
And that is actually a problem. People are scared of money. So people don't tend to ask questions. So think about something that you want to know about this and ask the question, because if you don't know the answer, everybody else in the room doesn't know the answer either. So be brave and ask that question.
I'm sure we'll all come up with something, just perhaps not right now. So we need to take a vote on Anne's plan for the plan. So can somebody propose that for me? Andy Jones, and someone to second, Andy Rintmore. And can everyone vote, please?
That's unanimous.
The plan for the plan is planned. Thank you, Anne. Now I believe it's Sarah. Agenda item 8, we are looking at the submission of a Public Works Loan Board application for work on the Market Yard toilet block and associated areas, something that's been a big topic for us recently.
Yep.
Off you go, Sarah.
Thanks. And this is actually a repeat of one recommendation that came to the April council meeting, which you all did approve. But this wording is required for the PWLB loan application papers. It's in wording required by the MHCLG. So there's very little to say really, unless anyone has any questions.
So it's a very long recommendation. I'm not going to read it out because I can't see it.
Sarah,
Everyone,
I have a question.
yes.
Sarah, in the paper, you mentioned that we won't draw down any money until we know how much we've got. Is that my reading of it?
That's the arrangement for the skate park PWLB. This one, actually, we won't draw down any of the loan until we've got the lease sorted.
Yes.
And until we've got the design brief and costs agreed. And then probably council will need to decide how far they want to take the design of the area. But we're applying for the loan now to be as ahead of the game as we can.
Yes. And I know with the PWLB that there's no advantage in paying it back early because it's a fixed term, fixed interest loan. So you might as well just have it.
Once you take it out.
Once you take it out.
It's recommended to keep it.
So if we don't draw down the full amount.
Yep, you're okay.
You're okay. It's just if we draw down the full amount, then there's no benefit in paying it back early.
No.
But if we don't draw down the full amount, then that's all right.
Yeah.
See, I'm asking the question that you all had in your mind, but you didn't answer it.
Yeah, I did, for sure. Thank you. Lindsay, then Fiona.
I was just going to ask, is there any update on the lease from Somerset Council?
We have had the first draft of the lease through at the end of last week. We're reviewing, our solicitor is reviewing it at the moment, and we're going to wait to hear their comments. But there is a lot of other work to go on now, we realise. So we need to get our ducks in a row before we can really progress. That's all I'll say at the moment.
Thank you.
Questions on that?
Fiona, then Nick.
I was just going to sort of fill in the gaps a little as to where we're at, because obviously in April or May's council meeting, we set up the Riverside Advisory Group and it's met since then, and we've agreed the brief for the master plan for the whole area, including the toilets, which hopefully should be going up to tender soon, and that will then give us sort of an overarching design for the toilet block and for the area, and then we can then have those conversations about what we prioritise and what the design is, and what then we would look at getting a quote for, which would then feed into how much of this loan we would get, if that's if that makes sense. And at the same time, we've also been having I know that Alistair and Rob and Jane and everyone have been working very hard getting surveys of the toilet block and the loop to loop building and all of that sort of stuff, so that we're in as strong a position as possible to move forward quickly on this when we get all the information. So this is kind of part of that sort of gathering this is sort of getting ahead of the game, but we're still in that sort of gathering all the information stage at the moment. That's helpful.
Thank you. And Nick?
Yeah, Sarah, thank you for the paper and the details. The issue with the lease and the link to the PWLB in terms of time, do we know what's being offered in terms of length of lease?
25 years.
That's all.
Yeah, it's only ever been 25 years.
Right. And is it we're just negotiating around the toilet block at the moment?
And the apron of the library, so that between the toilet block and the end of the library, all that land.
But not the loop building?
Including the loop
Okay,
and the
fine.
wall.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thanks.
So one of those things is permissions. We'd like to ask Somerset for permissions on some of what comes out of the design brief before we get to lease signing stage.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Any other questions? Then we should go to a vote. Is anyone willing to propose that one? Polly, and a seconder, Mark Dorrington. And if everyone can vote.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. Thank you all, ladies, Lenka and everyone. Bye. Okay, now speeding through here. Agenda item 9, a review of progress in delivering the council plan and our objectives. Over to Peter.
Well, you'll be pleased to hear I'm not going to go through blow by blow, line by line on the council plan, because obviously there's a lot of detail.
You're going to be filling now, Peter. Come on.
That's very true.
It'd be embarrassing.
but I mean, the reality is you've got in front of you, and in fact we've printed off some copies of the summary review of progress to date on the council plan. But what I am going to do, because I felt it would be helpful to you, is just to showcase a couple of examples of what we're delivering against each of the aims. Just to illustrate really all of the work that's going on within the council, but also with the community in delivering the council plan. After that, and I won't take very long over this, I'll then lead a brief discussion around the objectives. The purpose of that really is to inform the work on the work programme for 2027-28. So obviously you've had the timetable, which you've agreed, and it's important that that is informed by whatever comes up tonight, as well as what is already in the council plan. So this is aim number 1, which is, and I've given you an example of an objective under aim number 1 about growing community wellbeing, which relates to the key centre. And you set a target of increasing occupancy by 50%. It's fair to say that our communities team, but especially Liz Stone, our engagement officer, have been working hard with the community and with stakeholder organisations to build the occupancy of the key centre. And you heard all about this at the June council meeting. But just repeating what was said then, which is that we're already exceeding the target that was set in terms of occupancy. And we expect that occupancy to continue to rise, especially with the fact that we now have a cabin which is being refurbished on the site and is now being let out for hire by the community. But also we put out to tender the nursery space and we'll be bringing some news on that to you before long in terms of how that has all gone. So things are moving forward and we've already hit our target, which is brilliant. Another objective under the aim 1 was to ensure that all of our devolved assets are being well used, in particular reflecting the needs of community. And I'm pleased to say that we're making good progress. The first 2 areas that we're working on with the community, or have worked on with the community, are Tower View and St John's, which is shown in this particular slide. So on the left of the slide is the plan that we came up with the community. And then on the right is a very recent photo that was taken showing the completed facilities. and those facilities are already being very well used. So that's also brilliant news. Aim 2 is all about supporting a thriving town, and you've already heard about Frome Riverside, and you'll have heard back in April about the development of this co-designed vision with the community, and we have been out to consultation on both the toilets project, but also potentially how the remainder of the devolved asset, that apron area and the other accommodation, could be used in the future. And in terms of the area that we've taken on from Somerset Council to deliver the market operation, that's already in good, is being used very well by the community. We've had a good response from traders in terms of the work we've been doing with market traders. You'll see on the left an example of a Saturday market in June, and on the right of the slide is an image from Frome Pride, where that space was also used to good effect. And so what we're beginning to do is to build the footfall within this part of town, and we hope to do more. Very soon, our new markets coordinator will be starting, and we hope they'll be bringing their entrepreneurial flair to this whole initiative. So we're very hopeful that footfall levels will build further. So I think we seem to be doing quite well in terms of delivery on this objective. Also, on supporting a thriving town is ensuring reliable, cost-effective and inclusive public toilet provision. I'm not going to dwell on this because we dealt with this very comprehensively in the last item. Aim 3 is about cultivating environmental sustainability. And one of the targets that we set ourselves was to plant 5,000 trees across Frome, including a community woodland of 3,000 trees. And the plan was that by the end of the first year, that 85% of those trees will have survived. I'm very pleased to say that already 4,000 have been planted, including many at the community woodland. Some interesting shots there of both the team and the community at work down at Spring Gardens. It's been very well received, and I'm sure you're aware of that. You probably wonder how we're going to deliver on the rest of the target. Well, I was talking with Jay Hanton only earlier today, and he said to me that with all of the hedge planting of new saplings within the new hedgerows that we've acquired through devolution, we will definitely hit that target of 5,000 by the end of the year. So that's very promising. Also, under cultivating environmental sustainability, if I can get my words out, we said that we would support 100 homes annually to become more energy efficient. Our climate action team have been very active, as those of you who were at the Community in Place Committee meeting will have heard, and we are reaching a considerable number of households across the town, including a number of people who could be considered to be quite vulnerable, and this is really important as we endeavour to address fuel poverty, which does exist within the town. Aim 4 is about improving assets and infrastructure, and one of the things that we agreed is that we would collaborate with surrounding parishes to develop a movement strategy and also to influence Somerset Council's local transport plan. Well, as you will have probably seen, we're already very active in engaging with the community, not just in Frome, but also in the surrounding parishes around the proposed I think we're calling it movement and place plan rather than movement strategy. And we're actually using our latest digital engagement tool, Frome, to help with this. But I know that Owen, who is involved and leading on the work for us, has been out to a number of the surrounding parishes as well as various events in Frome to raise the profile of this plan and to get the local community involved. Also, in terms of improving assets and infrastructure, we said that we would deliver a new skate park and a co-designed social space for teenagers at Mary Bailey playing fields. Hopefully you're familiar with the plans that we have been working on with the community for the skate park. And I have some really good news for you in terms of the fundraising, which was included in the report. But we have recently heard that Somerset Council have agreed under Section 106 agreement to make available £121,000 for this particular project. So that's really good news and should bolster our general fundraising efforts. And thank you to Jane and her team for their work on that in terms of, and Rob in terms of trying to secure that funding. So that's going to be a real boost to us. That's brilliant. I think I've already mentioned Frome. This new digital engagement platform is already well established as a tool in terms of engaging local residents on various different projects. And I understand that 400 residents are now signed up and actively engaged in Frome, which is brilliant, but we hope to do more in the coming months. And thank you to Rachel's team, the marketing and communications team, for their work on this, but also all of the other teams within the council, because they are all making use of this tool in terms of engaging the local community. So that's brilliant. Finally, but by no means least, Aim 5 is also about continuing to push the boundaries and delivering innovative projects. And one example where we have pushed the boundaries and been innovative is the work that we've pursued with young people to co-design a new play area at Mary Bailey. And this is a picture that was taken earlier today. So this is an example of the final product in terms of the work we've been doing in terms of co-design. So that's really good news. And that's really where my presentation on what the team have been involved with. So that's the end of that presentation. And obviously, before we move to a discussion, I'll take questions. It's possible that other members of the team may be in a position to answer any of the questions that you may have. So over to you, really.
Any questions for Peter? Any fillers? Martin.
It's not a question, so I'll wait if you like. It's
a statement. If you
statement. Yeah, it's just to say, looking at this objectively, I think there's some terrific prospects, some terrific work going on here. And I'm almost quite envious because somebody goes to meetings to be told we haven't got any money, we can't spend anything, sorry, all the time. To see being able to spend the money you've got so constructively is really reassuring. I particularly like the Woodland project, not because I live up the road from it, but I think it was wonderful to see. And I think I might have spotted my granddaughter in the photograph at the top right hand corner. But anyway, it's that's marvellous. The trees and the energy thing, because these are things that we all care about passionately, and we cannot instigate at the council level. And I should have said this earlier, actually, when I spoke before, so forgive me for hijacking this bit, but I did actually inquire from a previous meeting about, I don't know whether you know this, but I was suggesting that Frome Town Council could be delegated responsibility for planning when it came to things like trees and so on. That the answer to that is no, apparently legally it isn't possible, which is a shame because I think you do a much more thorough job than is done at the moment. And the other thing that I have to say in terms of the plan, and it's very negative, but you may have noticed that Somerset Council has been put on notice, which means that's one step nearer to Section 151, and we can foresee the possibility that we're going to be taken on by the men from Whitehall, and I think that may put more pressure on Frome Town Council to be picking up yet more pieces that we can't deliver.
Yeah, that's okay. We like doing that. Fiona.
I was just going to reply back to Martin. First of all, thank you very much for what you said. I was also sat here feeling really proud listening to all of that. And also because I'm not able to spend as much time in Frome at the moment as I normally would. I hadn't actually seen the Mary Bailey play area or the Tower View yet. And so seeing photos of that is just, yeah, it's just amazing. Yes, we had seen about the best value notice, Martin. And I think a lot of what you've, the sort of the medium-term financial plan, obviously, just to sort of reassure you, the medium-term financial plan will obviously very much take into account different scenarios that might happen in terms of Somerset Council. And we are very, very aware, and we're sort of paying close attention to what is happening and aware that it may impact on us. In the future, we've obviously sort of taken on quite a lot in one go, and we're still sort of working its way through the process, like the market yard toilet blocks. But obviously, if we need to step in again and in the future, then we want to be as prepared as possible to do so, but also to make sure that we do so really strategically. I think we've taken a very sort of strategic look at this, and not sort of, and wanting to make sure that anything we do take on, we take on because we can do more with it. We can offer more value to Frome. It is of benefit to the community, rather than sort of knee-jerk reactions to things. But thank you for what you said. And thank you, Peter, for presentation as well.
Thank you. Back over to you, Peter, I think. Okay,
well, the next bit really is over to you because, as I mentioned earlier, it would be good if you have any suggestions in terms of how the objectives that are framed within the council plan might be amended. It'd be good to hear from you if you have any ideas on that. You may feel that it's good as it is and should form a really solid basis for the next stage, which is developing the work programme for next year. But this is an opportunity for you to share anything that you feel needs to be highlighted, anything that we might need to tweak, for example, in terms of that set of objectives. And just to remind you, in front of you should be a complete list of the objectives that we set ourselves when the council plan was updated last year.
Anne.
I have one thought in my mind, and I mentioned it in the paper I was presenting. How much of our future planning will tie the hands of the next administration? Should we all be voted out next May? Our plan is for the next year, so starting in April, I presume, or end of March next year. So presumably the next administration, the first year, they've got a plan, but could another council come in and say, no, we're going to scrap all of that? So how much we wouldn't want to tie ourselves or them into contracts that then would cost money to cancel. Is that going to form part of our planning flexibility?
Can I jump in on that one? Because I think my memory of 4.5 years ago is that we came in as a new administration and sort of inherited a bit of a void, to be honest, and we spent too much time spinning our wheels and not achieving anything because we didn't even have a direction of travel to be moving in. I think having a plan in place that can absolutely be amended or can be thrown out by a subsequent administration, but having something to be working on is absolutely the right direction to go.
I agree. Martin, you may.
I don't think you should care about what the next administration.
I was going to say that, but I'm the chair. It's not polite.
Right? Yeah. No, I don't. I think you should look. You should be committing this town to these kind of ambitious projects, and if they're foolish enough to want to reel it in, then that's their problem. But when you've committed and money's being spent, you can't. There will be, as you say, there will be a cost to stopping an investment in a program or stopping a program halfway through. And I agree. You know, it's really difficult to hit the ground running when you're a new council, when you've got new councillors, because everybody's sort of working in this vacuum of learning the ropes. And I always think you don't really know what you're doing for 2 years, and so give them something to aim for. Give them some data, and I'm sure many of you will be back.
And I'm also assuming that people aren't going to come in and you know, take away things that are objectively good for the town just because they may or may not be a different administration. If we've got plans in place, even if they are funded or we're committed to contracts, that would just be foolish, wouldn't it?
Yeah, go for it. Leave a legacy.
Thank you, Martin. Polly.
For me, I think the point is that the objectives were developed in consultation over a long period of time across various areas that made sense to the town. So regardless of your politics, they make sense to the town. They make sense in the wider setting of the economic environment. And I suppose the only thing that, because I'm not good at money, is all the public work loans that we take out, because that's the only way. That's a mechanism that's relatively cheap and sound to us to be able to afford things that we absolutely need. And it's a shame that Somerset Council, you know, left us with such a, you know, difficult choice over toilets and things like that we have to do that. But so apart from those reactive decisions, this is all based upon things that we pulled together in consultation. And so I think they're really solid. And I don't think they are particularly political in the sense that they relate to the town. So I don't think we need to worry about that.
Thank you, Polly. Anyone?
I think Fiona has a hand up.
Fiona?
Yeah, I was going to say similar to Polly, the short answer to Anne's question is that this council plan runs until I think November next year. And obviously our work programme budget that we agree, as any administration does, runs through until April the year after, so 28. And I think that is designed, as Martin says, to sort of allow the new administration, whoever they are, to sort of get their feet under the table. You know, it's not like everything can stop. But I think that when we were designing the plan, I think first of all, as Polly said, absolutely, it's based on, a lot of this is based on evidence, on you know, on that consultation, also on the picture of Frome work that Hannah and her team did around what the needs of the town are, but also, you know, in there are sort of political priorities essentially that we've sort of spelt out very clearly, like prioritising young people, like prioritising the town centre. And I think that obviously it's up to the next administration. I'm not going to sort of put words, you know, give them too much, but to me there's sort of a structure here that allows them to sort of not completely sort of, you know, spin their wheels or sort of change direction of travel completely, but also to have a think about maybe there are other things they want to prioritize if that's what they would like to do, or if whoever it is going forward, and for that to kind of be able to be done quite not easily, but in a sort of within a structure. And I think that that's yeah, sort of how it has sort of been designed. I know that when I sort of looked back over when we're going to sort of do the strategy, I read back over the previous sort of, I don't know, right back to 2011 strategies. They all had really similar headings. I'm sure you've heard me say this before. They all had one about environmental sustainability, one about community, one about economics. So there's a slight thing of not needing to reinvent the wheel here as well, but hopefully also to allow a new administration to be able to do the process however they would like, and to sort of come up with priorities if they would like. But yeah, I think that sort of answers it. And then directly to Peter's question about whether there are things that need shifting, I think there are a few tweaks that we might want to make. I think sort of the priorities and everything sort of still feels really strong, and the whole structure and everything. I think there are a couple that maybe feel like sort of we've sort of tried and maybe sort of haven't. So there's one about the daily rubbish collection. We've obviously agreed the preferred sorry, my brain isn't working properly. The preferred tender person. Yeah, that thing. But the wording on the objective doesn't quite match with that. So we might want to have a look at whether we could do something else there. Just because I think we've sort of tried to sort of do the partnership with Somerset Council. I'm not sure whether we've got anywhere, but open for that. I think also the thing about the reuse centre, Adventure have set up their, oh sorry, what's it called?
Frome-based.
Frome base, thank you. Sorry, brain is going. Have set up Frome base and doing an amazing job. And obviously they've also there got space for share. So I think we might want to look at that as well, whether there's still much point in us sort of pursuing that and trying that. And also I just wanted to reaffirm our commitment to the River Frome. Like the River Frome is in the strategy as something that we want to sort of really do more work around advocating for. And I think it'd be really great to do a bit more on that as well coming up. But those were the three that I sort of highlighted.
Thank you, Fiona. I know there's some questions, but Peter would like to come back on that first.
Fiona, thanks very much for that. And to a certain extent, you've anticipated the next agenda item, which will refer to a plan that we had for recycling bins within the town centre. So obviously we will come to that in the next item, but we're, you know, to a certain extent, we're already thinking about how that particular objective might be tweaked as we move into the next phase. But thank you for that. That we'll take all of that into account as we develop the work programme.
Thank you, Andy, and then Lindsay.
Yeah, I was recently buttonholed by a couple of people from the bike project, suggesting that there's potentially some more funding for active travel that we might want to try and chase down. I don't know if that's something we can do within the current year or if that's something we need to pick up in the future planning, but certainly something I think it'd be worth us exploring.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be interested if there are opportunities that help us meet our objectives, and certainly one of the things that we're aiming to do is to try and improve the infrastructure for active travel, and if in any way that funding could help with that. I know at the moment Jane's team are working hard with developers to try and ensure that the infrastructure for active travel is improved across the town. So that's quite interesting, and we'll take a long hard look at that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Lindsay, did you have something? You don't. Okay. Anybody else got anything to add or ask or suggest?
That's great. Thank you very much, everyone. That's a really useful steer as we go into the next phase of developing the work programme and budget for next year. Obviously, we'll take into account the various comments that were made, but I think that's a really firm foundation on which we can build. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Peter. And now we're going on to agenda item 10, which is a proposal for a town centre community art programme. And that's going to be Councillor Nick Dove.
Thank you, and thank you very much. And a microphone now, which is really helpful. Did you hear my joke to start with? No, you go repeat. Okay, thanks very much. Good evening, everyone. So tagging and graffiti. First of all, I want to thank some of the people. So Mike, who isn't here, who's our town centre ranger, who's been trying to remove the tag stroke graffiti from various bits of street furniture and buildings for ages, and it's a really hard, uncomfortable job. He's done a brilliant one. And Rachel for her team for the work they've done with Katie to try and bring some solutions to this problem. Sitting behind Rachel is Tom, this is his second meeting at Frome Town Council. Amazing. Thanks for coming, Tom.
What a great summer you're having.
Thanks very much. Tom, as I think all of you know, is a street artist. He runs a school of graph in Bristol. School of graph is probably a better pronunciation. And I think the police are waiting outside to talk to you about some of your previous tagging behaviour, but that's okay. Right, so briefly tonight, it's just really to talk about asking you to support a couple of initiatives. financial support for a couple of initiatives that we think will make a big difference to the town centre. The last community in place meeting, which sadly I couldn't make, but I've watched back, and it was really a really good, inclusive meeting. I thought really well done. Lots of people came and had a say. We talked about what was the solution, because at the moment, quite a lot of our focus has been on removing it and then trying to identify the people responsible and dealing with them. And I think we understand that this is almost a cyclical thing and an age thing. People sort of go through a process where they do this and then they either stop doing it and they lead law-abiding lives, or they maybe go into something more artistic, and that's where we're looking for some help on that. So two particular sort of initiatives. One is we're asking you to spend, to give us £8,000, or to allow us to spend £8,000. And this is basically a project to look at the utility boxes, as sort of the ones, I think we got some pictures, haven't we? I think Rachel or Laura. So these kind of green utility boxes that are frequently the target of tagging and graffiti. And the idea would be to have a project where we'd specifically get local people, local artists, to adopt them and turn them into something beautiful. I think we know from discussions with people, from reading and from advice from people like Tom, is that generally taggers don't tag a piece of street art. Touch wood somewhere. There you go. The one in the Westway, that lovely one there, has had just one. I think it had a Union Jack on it for a little period of time, didn't it, or something like that. So this is one of the plans, is to identify, I think, 8 of those, and then work with street artists. That'll cost about £8,000 to sort of work through and make them beautiful, and hopefully not be the subject or the target of taggers. So that's the first sort of one, and that is £8,000 we're asking for. Yep. Okay, I've got that right. Jump in any time if I'm wrong, Rachel, won't you?
Yeah, I will do, but it is £8,000.
Thank you very much. And the second one is more complicated, and actually I would say a bit more ambitious. I'm sure you've all read the paper, but this is what we're calling a community street art programme. So this is really to see if we can, and I think you've all identified and understood and realised that generally young people are involved in this, and there's a whole thing out in our town, isn't there, of young people finding an outlet for some of their creativity, and what can we do around that. And for some time, and with Jane's help, and we've been trying to identify buildings in the town centre where we might be able to make them look more beautiful. It's complicated, but the plan would be to engage young people in positive creative activity, develop their artistic skills and confidence, and create pride in our town centre by improving the appearance of public spaces. Again, the same principle that if we make something beautiful, it won't be tagged. We're hoping that if we can identify 12 spaces in the town centre, and they may be the sides of buildings or structures, and those of you who travel around the UK, there are lots of towns and cities where there are some really beautiful street art projects. I remember being in Glasgow a few years ago. It's extraordinary what's happened up there. Some of the huge tenement buildings have got really beautiful things on there. So the idea is to work with Tom and his School of Graph to actually work with young people and identify places that would be suitable for a kind of a street art wall, and then appoint artists, agree the final locations. Obviously, we need to work through the conservation officer, because most of those will be in the town centre, obtain necessary permissions from landlords and so on. And Rachel, possibly helped by me, or not helped by me, we'll work with Tom and try and find a way to deliver 12 beautiful street art projects in the town centre. Engage young people, not exclusively young, I guess, and maybe people a little bit older, but and try and sort of divert and involve them in this exercise. It could really transform it, I think, having seen how it's worked elsewhere in the country. When you have almost like a trail of beautiful things, you have something, people, the kind of Instagram age where people can want to see it, and hopefully it'll stop those people who would otherwise be tagging some of these locations and street furniture to stop doing that and just appreciate it and maybe see an alternative way to express themselves. So the total cost. Any questions at this point before us? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Polly, you had your hand up first, Polly.
I just wanted to say, it's not a question, statement, that many meetings ago, when you first reached out to everybody and said, any ideas? And there were some things came forward and I didn't say anything. And I thought that the ideas I was thinking, the cynical part of me was going, that would never work. That's not gonna. And what I just wanted to say was thanks for your persistence, because I wasn't at the community and place meeting, but what's come from it is such a great idea. And I feel like so supportive of this. I was really inspired when I read the paper, and I just want to say thanks for sticking with it, because I think this is a great idea.
Well, thanks, Polly. And it's not really me, to be honest. It's like Rachel, people like Tom coming forward and actually coming up with ideas, because I was all for finding them and banging them up, Tom. Mark.
Thought him down.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. So it's a great idea. It's a great project. Thanks for what you've done on it. I stated when I became mayor again this year that I want to increase pride in our town. I think this is a really good way of doing that, as well as everybody picking their litter up. With regard to the utility boxes that Mike spends his life repainting, devil's advocate, shouldn't that be the job of the people who own the utility box? And if it's not, and I'm quite happy for us to do a guerrilla thing on it and just do it anyway, would they not be interested, or could they be approached to sponsor their boxes or give us some money towards it? I'm sure you've explored this, but it would be...
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Great idea. I mean, Rachel has tried. It's Open Reach, I think, only, and they are not the most generous organisation in the world.
They did have grants open for a little while. That grants closed. They've made it really clear that they're not going to have any more money, but they're happy to give their permission. And that's going to be a relatively easy thing in terms of landlord's permission. Of course, we'll still have the conservation officer to go through, but they will help make it easy. But no, they can't provide any money, I'm afraid.
Okay, well, at least that part's encouraging. Thank you.
Yeah.
Steve, you didn't. There was one more over there. Well, I've got my two options, Andy or Andy. Neither. Go on then. Go on.
We on. Yeah, I love it. It's great. My only concern is once they have been beautified, that they remain beautified. Is there there's a plan in place where if they get to disheveled or worn or whatever, where we have the option to just reset them, I guess, back to green or black or whatever color they are, and then maybe reapproach it? Or is that particular artist who said, yeah, this is my box on my road or whatever, do they have to keep doing it? How do we lock this in for more than sort of a nice spring?
Yeah, I was just going to say maybe Tom's got something to.
I was going to.
I mean, there's a type of clear coat that you can get that is like anti-graffiti clear coat, so you can wash off any tags or like dirt or debris without damaging the artwork.
That's awesome. I meant generally just the once you that box and you put like a
got to talk into it.
Hello, but like I don't know, whatever you want to put on it, you know, the great picture of flowers and the sort of psychedelic 60s thing going. Once that's done, what's our plan then for making sure that looking?
Well.
Yeah, will it be touched up? Will it be redone periodically? Are we using like some hardcore paints? I don't know. What's the thing there?
From research, it looks like most people have, got about 5 years worth of life. So it's not going to be like a really short period, assuming they don't get retagged or, and I think we certainly would want the anti-graffiti coating on anything that we manage to do. So it's sort of medium term rather than short term project.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool. Thank you.
Great question, Andy. Thanks. And I said I was in Glasgow. I was there a few years ago, and I was talking to somebody who's applying that clear sort of spray on it, because that was exactly my question. Part of theirs are about 400 meters high, doesn't it? But the lower ones, this kind of anti graffiti. Basically, you can wipe anything off. Hopefully,
Pressure washed.
yeah, yeah. And I think after 5 years, probably it'd be nice to do some new ones. Otherwise, it'd be a bit tired and boring. Thanks for the question.
Thank you very much. Unless there are any more questions. Oh, yes. From the paper, I think.
Hello. Yes, from Laura from the Frome Times. I think it was earlier this year, Nick, you were in a video talking about graffiti, and you said that it cost, I think, sorry if I've got this wrong, I think you said it cost thousands of pounds for the council every year to, keep removing it. I just wondered if the council could share how much it does actually cost a year to have to keep removing it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a video, me speaking kind of off the cuff, and
Mike's gone off.
yeah, sorry. So I was talking about the opportunity cost. So his wages, percentage of the time, I don't know exactly what he's paid, but I think we worked out about 40% of his time spent actually dealing with that. So that's where the thousands came from. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or observations?
Have I finished now?
Are you? I don't know.
Anyone more questions? I've only done, look, we've got another 50 minutes.
Are there any other questions or observations for Nick? Do you have anything else to add? Great. Then, oh, sorry, Steve does have a question.
Have you worked out the criteria for appointing the artists for who we're going to approach? Or is that done to Tom?
So
I hope it's Tom.
So as you will see, we do still have some due diligence to go through, and so we're asking today for you to waive financial regulations. The proposal that we're particularly talking about in the paper has come from Tom. So we've got a few things to do to check out and make sure that that's all as it should be, but we would like to work with the School of Craft and other local artists. So we will work out how to put a contract together.
Presumably we can have an update on that.
Absolutely.
Next council or the one after.
Yes. And we have already put a brief together for the utility box public art programme. And again, we'll form a little group and probably do it through the town centre advisory group.
Thank you.
Was that your question, Steve? Or were you asking how we specifically choose the artists themselves? Yeah, I did wonder about that myself. I guess we'll ask Tom to help with that selection process. Have a look at, maybe to speak to the college, audition. You can enter, Steve, if you want. I know, seen some of your doodlings.
No, I mean, I'm sure you've got it covered. I'm just, there's artists and artists, isn't there? I mean, and this is street work, not professional artists, and doesn't make sure it's the street work guys that get the,
yeah,
rather than, Frome's full of professional artists who I'm sure will jump all over this like a rash. And quite frankly,
I think
doesn't really excite me. No. I'd much sooner have, schools and the real youngsters and stuff like that.
I think the 8 utility boxes we probably want to do with fairly established, but it's the actual bigger projects, I think, isn't it, Tom? We're talking about where we're looking at that, and it's kind of working with local, an understanding of local people, some of the people who Tom may already know. Right? If you look at his website or his, you see that people come and spend days there, don't they? So sign up to courses.
Quick question for Tom then. When you do something like that, do you show us the image before it goes on to the box?
So with the utility box idea, I think that they're saying that would be professional established artists. So that would be
so they give us the artwork in advance and say this is what we're going to put on there. It's not
that would be more of a choice.
We could select which one we liked, or
and they would I mean, everything that's on anything that is a infrastructure will need planning, because we have a town centre that is a conservation area. So there are things that we can anticipate. For example, we as part of the money you'll see is sort of diverted from a improvements to Scott Road, and there are places where we know that we particularly want art, and it will be public, and it's, you know, so there are various points that we will identify and then work towards getting the.
Will there be a theme throughout the town, or could they be from 8 completely different images?
There could be, but in terms of the community art project it will be a work in progress. It won't necessarily be a, you know, this is a designed thing. I'm thinking that is correct, isn't it? It's a process rather than the.
Yeah, and to maybe like include young people in the design process, so that would like could go over like weeks leading up to the project, and the council could see what the kids have been working on and maybe have some input into the design.
That's it.
Thank you, Linz. Any more comments? Okay, thank you for that, Nick and everyone. And we need a proposer, Andy Rintmore, and a seconder, Polly Lamb. And can everyone in the room please vote? That's unanimous. I mean, look at what I've done to my thingy. It should be me, surely.
That's good. It's unanimous. Means we've got
the swearing. Okay, so that brings us on to item 11, which is to approve amendments to standing orders.
So this is very straightforward, really. This is a follow-on from reports that came to the last meeting of the council, where councillors agreed to establish a new complaints committee. And also they agreed that the planning committee in the future would deal with licensing applications as well as planning applications. So in order that we can, if you like, make all of this legal, it's necessary for you to agree amendments to the various clauses within standing orders, and those are set out in the report. That's it.
Lindsay to propose, Mark Dorrington to second, and everyone to vote. It's unanimous. Okay, there is one more item on the agenda, which was to be a verbal update on twinning. Philip Campagna is not here this evening, so I am going to propose that we defer that to the next council meeting, which is on Wednesday, the 9th of September. So I'm going to propose that. Would anyone second that for me? Andy Jones. And can everyone vote on that? That's unanimous. And that brings us to a miraculous 8:13. Surpassed ourselves, team. Thank you, everyone who contributed, and see you all next month.
Hope you feel better soon, Fiona.